Hello, good morning. Happy brunch. Happy brunch, everyone. Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to La Show. Welcome to the La Show. This is our Sunday brunch. Let me just get this a little organized. And let me organize my cards here. How is everybody? Yeah, you good? Oh my goodness, I had problems picking my top today because I decided to do a background, to put a background behind me, but I can't wear anything that's green if there's a background because it ends up that the background, that it takes on the background. So I had to change my top to the color wheel that's the opposite of a green. So you want to go with like the purples and the reds, and so it just helps you stand out against a green. Let me move that. Oh, that's so much easier. Oh, I see what I could do here. All right. Yeah, cool. Anyway, how is everybody? Is everybody all right? Is everybody in love? For those people who are not in love, are you falling in love? Yeah, maybe a little bit. It's important, it's important. Ah, good. We looks like people are starting to show up on the stream. I'm just checking my information here. Got to mute it here. Okay, so yeah. Oh, you ever get one of those messages that just annoys you? Yeah, they get to be annoying after a while. And nothing annoys me more than people that, I don't know. I shouldn't take things so seriously. What do you guys think? Let's see. Somebody had said something that kind of pushed my buttons. People, I shouldn't let things get to me, but they do. I don't know. Let me see. While people are finding, I don't know. Should I even bother? I don't know. There are a couple things that people say that annoy me. When it's 2, 3 in the morning and I'm in a semi-trance state in my bed and I'm channeling and somebody tells me that I should put on makeup and that I look terrible, that annoys me. I don't think people told Edgar Cayce to worry about it when he was in a semi-trance state. So those things annoy me. They annoy me a lot. No, I'm not going to come out of a semi-trance state when I'm not even awake or I'm half awake and I'm doing a remote view and put on makeup and a nice shirt and brush my hair and style it. I don't think most people care. And so just thought I would mention that. Like I get that feedback a lot, and that, oh my God, you don't respect yourself. And Yeah, so that annoys me. So just to let you know that. When, if it's brunch and I know we're getting together for brunch, and I'm awake, then I will brush my hair, put on clean clothing. These things are definitely an option when I come for brunch. Um, but when it's 2 a.m. and I'm in my bed and I'm asleep, you got to kind of take me as I am. Uh, so yeah, just saying. Just saying. It annoys me. Annoys me a lot. Let me see if I can. Somebody had, yeah. So, yeah. How is everybody? How is everybody? Hello to our latest person, latest members. We have a bunch of brand new members. So, thank you for that. All right. So, here's a post that got in my bonnet. Maybe it'll get in your bonnet too. Gosh darn it, like a bee buzzing. Like a bee buzzing in your bonnet. Kelly Taylor 5289. I do love your content and love that you are a doctor. That has created yourself has dedicated yourself to natural medicine. I love that you are real, but in my opinion, I feel that if you want to up your subscription, you might freshen things up. I think it's nice to see things less busy and dowdy, proper lighting, and clean up your backdrop. Maybe a more fresh haircut and color, even with henna. New, more contemporary glasses. Not change who you are, just present the best version you're capable of. I often tap out when you take a long time to get to the content, especially when you talk to others. I'm not trying to be mean at all. And of course, your content is what is important. Your skills, intelligence, and compassion stand out, and obviously why your followers are growing. I bet Trump also has fatty liver disease as well, which is probably the least of his worries. This video gets right to the point, and that's important for people that don't have tons of time to watch for hours. Okay, Kelly. On Sundays, we do a Sunday brunch. For those people who aren't getting it, let me try again. On Sunday, we do a Sunday brunch. That means we sit around and we chit chat and we talk to each other and we talk about what we're eating, where are you coming from, what you eating. Be sure and turn and say hi to the person next to you so that they too can be included in this brunch. It is not a robo whore psychic situation here. I'm not a tarot whore. I can't just push it all day long. I want to have fun too. And so we get together on brunch, me and other people here, and nothing is pushed, nothing is rushed. And many people who watch this channel are housebound, Kelly Taylor, and they can't get out of their houses and go to brunch anymore because they're in wheelchairs or they don't have the money to be going to restaurants. And so what we do on Sundays is we bring the brunch to those people who are housebound, homebound, and it means a lot to them. And we've been coming here diligently for close to 7 years having brunch with the community. If you don't have time to come and have brunch with us, then it's an open invitation, but you don't have to join us for brunch on Sunday. Now, if you're talking about the readings that we do pre-taped, they're usually no more than 35 to 40 minutes long maximum. I think the last one I posted was 40 minutes, and that's really long for me. The remote views, when I put them up, are usually no more than 10, 12 minutes. So you're confused, and that's okay. Maybe I need to clarify it. Sunday is a Sunday brunch. Now, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have shows as well with my co-host, Chuck Dransfield. On Tuesdays, we have a show called Taco Tuesdays. It's usually fun and lively, and we have a lot of guest interaction. And so there is some chit chat, but the show goes for an hour and 15 minutes. On Thursdays, we have Hot Topics Thursday, and that's more our gossip and celebrity show. It's less about politics, and that show also goes for an hour and 15 minutes. So those are the genres. And now I invite everybody here to, if you want to give any advice to Kelly Taylor 5289, knock yourselves out. Okay. Happy brunch. Happy brunch. Okay, so we have a couple of announcements. As many of you know, for the next couple weeks, we will be raising money for the World Central Kitchen. The World Central Kitchen, which goes to war zones and emergency areas where there are famines, like Gaza right now, or they've been in hurricanes, and they bring food directly to the people. So that is our fundraiser. So if any part of this brunch brings you joy, and if you're feeling generous and you can afford to do so, please don't do it if you can't afford to do it. But if you can afford to give a little money to help people in emergency food. I think actually, pardon me, I changed the charity. I've changed the charity because last week we did World Central Kitchen. I'm sorry, Jose. We did you last week. I love you, Jose. Thank you for your bravery and your commitment to feeding people. This week we're doing Feeding America, and that is raising funds for food banks all over the United States. As many of you know, and I've shown some of the videos on Thursdays, Hot Topics Thursdays, we're starting to have famine in the United States, where people are having to make a choice between gas in their cars and food on the table. So the food banks are running low. So volunteering at food banks, if you can't afford to donate, is greatly appreciated. But again, we don't want to hurt anybody's budget. So if you can't afford to donate, we totally understand that. But we are raising money for Feeding America Together, and that money is disseminated to the various different food banks. Okay, be sure and tell us who you are. Welcome to our brunch. We extend this brunch to the four corners of the earth. So tell us who you are, where you're coming from, what you eating, what you drinking, how you doing. Are you holding up okay? We'll be here for like an hour and a half, just kibitzing. We're going to do some cards, have a little conversation, raise some money for charity if we can. We're going to talk a little bit about naturopathic medicine. I'm going to try and include that, a little bit more of that on Sundays, how I live my life, and the advice I give my patients. And I know a lot of you wanted advice, and many of you can't afford to come in and be a patient. And so I also like to use Sundays as a way of giving people free information about what I know about naturopathic medicine. And so for people who don't know, I am a doctor, and I'm here to help. People got confused. The last video I did that I was calling ADHD complex post-traumatic stress disorder. No, I'm saying that ADHD and ADD are medical conditions that are overdiagnosed because we are underdiagnosing complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Does that make sense? That's the difference. So in plainer words, children with complex post-traumatic stress disorder are not being properly diagnosed, and they're being diagnosed with ADHD because there's an overlap in symptoms. So that was the point. So we can't assume that just because a child is feeling scattered and having certain challenges learning, that it's just because of ADHD or ADD. It could be that the child experienced trauma. And I get a lot of parents being defensive. Well, I'm a very good parent. Well, you might be a very good parent, but that doesn't mean a child doesn't have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Complex stress disorder can happen from bullying at school, harassment by teachers, being molested and abused by adults that are outside the perimeter of a parent, right? So you can be the best parent in the world and still have a child with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. Just wanted to clarify that. So CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is a condition usually of sustained emotional trauma, often in childhood. And I've written a few articles. Here is one of them, if you'd like to be referred to my work and my research. Here's one I put up for Chabad Lubavitch. Does your child suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder? I believe I published this in, when was this? 2012, 2011? Currently in the United States, 8% of the population suffers from PTSD, but the numbers could be higher. And then we go into causes in childhood and estimation of underreporting and misdiagnosis statistics. Because I'm such a nice person, I will go ahead and I will post that for you if you would like to see the data. Somebody had told me to do the research. Honey, read the books, read the articles. Honey, I write the articles. Sorry, but I do. Anyway, enjoy the article. I hope you enjoy that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and turn the camera around and say hi to you. Give a special shout out to our very own Joel Tilson. He is the official floor director for the show. We welcome him and we thank him for taking the time to be here and give his love and his support. Much gratitude to him. Thank you. Thank you. We also want to give a special shout out to the amazing Debbie Brady. She has created some amazing fan pages for the Oracle of Whimsy over at Facebook. Be sure and join the group over there. There's an awful fun crowd over there. And once a month, we do give one of the lucky members a free reading. So always a good idea to check out what Debbie Brady is doing over at our fan pages. Debbie Brady is a filmmaker. She is a talent scout. She's a busy lady and a researcher. And she's doing some pretty cool stuff. So you may want to also check out some of the films she's been making and some of the work she's doing with up-and-coming talent here on YouTube. I started working with her. I only had 8,000 subscribers, and now we're moving towards 100,000 subscribers. And Debbie's guidance, patience, her help in creating beautiful backgrounds and designs are certainly part of that success. And so we give a warm hug and shout to Debbie Brady. Thank you so much, Debbie. All right. Other things that I would like to announce. We have a book. Chuck Dransfield and myself are huge book lovers. We are big fans of books. We started a book club for independent writers, people that self-publish, people that are not on the radar. And what I love about this is that this channel has helped put people on the radar. Once a month on Taco Tuesdays, we bring in a writer and we share their book. So if you would like to join us and be a part of the book club, please check out our next book. It's called Maybe Next Time Around, A Tale of Love, Karma, and Reincarnation. It's based on a true story, and it's written by Sylvia Sullivan. You know, one of the fastest ways to make contact with your past lives is to just meditate and go to sleep after chanting and meditation and ask to be sent dreams that bring you to your past incarnations. That's what I've done. It's absolutely fascinating, but you'll be able to find out some of the connections her soul has with these alternate worlds, realities, past lifetimes. Absolutely exciting. I love this sort of stuff. You know, and there's this idea that we are living alternate, because the soul is so big. There are aspects of our soul that at this time could be living as a man in France, could be living as a woman in the Congo, you know. So as we get higher and higher up into the soul, we also start to realize that people can, you know, our souls can exist in multiple bodies or soul groups simultaneously as we go higher and higher up the realms. Anything else I wanted to say about that? Yes, she's out of hard copies on Amazon. I went and checked. So it is a Kindle, but sorry about that for those people who are not fans of Kindle. But right now, only available in the Kindle version. All right, what you eating, what you drinking, where are you coming from? Let's go ahead and say hi to everybody and make sure that everybody here is acknowledged. We also want to thank everyone who's become a member. We've had a lot of brand new members here, and we're very, very grateful to all of the people who decide to become members. I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me go to that. Just wanted to give gratitude to our latest members here. We have Carol Kala, Marcel Marion, Intuitive Kathy has rejoined. Carolyn K is back in. Jane Quaint, welcome. Ambrosine is in the house. Fitty Bo, Anita K, thank you so much for being here. Angela Artemis, and Marcel Marion. Yeah, we did that. It keeps flipping on me. Sorry about that. Jeff Labar is now a benefactor. Thank you so much for your being a benefactor. That's very appreciated. This just doesn't want to cooperate. Sherry Foster, Julia Petchow, Margaret, Hecka Mann. We'll continue saying hi to everybody as we continue with the stream. But those are our latest members this week. If we didn't get your name, much apologies. Oh, your book's not going to be here till September. So you were able to get a hard copy? Good for you. Where'd you get the hard copy? Anybody know how to get a hard copy? Sugar-free Skippy peanut butter is good. Oh, I bet it is. There's sugar-free and low-sodium cashew and almond butter as well. Yum, yum. They don't have as much protein in them, though, unfortunately. Anna Coleman, hello, my love. Happy Sunday brunch from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Oh, lovely. Wonderful to see you as well. Okay. KT8197, I found sheep's milk yogurt. That sounds absolutely delicious. Is that the Ari's brand? The Ari's is excellent. It's kind of expensive. You get a little thing for it's a little bit more money, but it has that nice creamy flavor. I do like goat's cheese. I do like sheep's cheese quite a bit. All right, Janice Fitzpatrick. I'm in Ireland. Had an eye exam yesterday. Oh, you have macular degeneration and retinopathy. It's always a bit depressing. Oh my goodness. I know. I'm so sorry. Um, yeah. A bee got in my bonnet last week when several peeps posted remarks about getting to the opening prayer and blitzes. The pearls of wisdom from Whimsy come from us between the blitzes. Oh, yes, absolutely. I think so. Thank you. Thank you. Is there a way to overcome my sugar addiction? Yeah, I think fruit. Like last night I had a hankering for something before bed, and I was just like, I want something and I don't know what it is. So I ended up having a bowl full of cherries. Yes, oppositional defiant disorder. Sometimes kids are just they have problems. I have a certain person in my past like that. He probably, his parents were older when his mother gave birth. She was in her 40s, but he had certain problems, and he was autistic. He had autism. He had some physical issues as well, and I think his mother just thought he was difficult because he would refuse to eat. He wouldn't eat anything. He would just eat a certain set type of foods because autistic are really sensitive with their diet. And she didn't know what was wrong with him because I think they just didn't have the knowledge, but it was autism. He had other problems as well that developed, like he was a sociopath. He pathologically lied, stole, and he was a sociopath. And the parents were incredible. I was very close friends with his mother. They were really good parents. But there was something wrong with him that had nothing to do with his parents. So you have to take that into consideration also. Oh, I'm so glad Renee got a all clear on her cancer. So happy to hear that, Renee. Oh, plaster painting on your canvas. Very nice. Black coffee. Ooh, I gotta have something sweet in my coffee. I'm doing the allotose, and I'm putting some sugar in it. Do I have a thing on my? Might as well use you as a mirror. You're my mirror. Oh, hello to you, Margaret from Portugal. Lovely. Okay, we'll keep saying hi to people as we go along. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. So I'm going to have my protein and greens by Paradise later today. And that's kind of what I call my Dr. Whimsy shake. People had asked me to talk about, a little bit about this. I do try to eat right. And I did create a protein shake for my patients. And I probably need to redo this because I used to give people an option. Well, you could try this protein shake and that protein shake. But now I'm just kind of sticking with the protein and greens. Somebody had said they had trouble digesting peas, but you should be okay with this. It's a pea protein, the protein and greens by Paradise, because they've removed a lot of the carb in the skin. So it's really gentle on your stomach, even if you have SIBO. The FODMAP is pretty low on protein and greens by Paradise. So I would recommend 1 scoop is enough. And then I put in some frozen berries. Then I put in a ripe banana. Turmeric can be helpful if you're feeling like you have some inflammation. You can put a little turmeric, not too much because it can affect the taste. I put in some flax seeds. I put in hemp seeds. I put in walnuts. Delicious. For extra protein, you could put in some peanut butter powder. Sometimes I do that. Or some almond butter. Peanut butter powder also has a low FODMAP. And the other thing that's great about peanut butter powder is that the protein is there, but not the oil. So you're getting that protein, but you're not getting the carbs that are hard to digest, and you're not getting the fats if you have gallbladder sensitivity. In terms of the type of milks being used, I always recommend the unsweetened. Now, Dr. Furman says you can put a date in and whip up a date, medula. How do you pronounce those dates? He puts one of those in for sweeteners. I like banana because it gives you the potassium also. Hemp milk is low carb. Flax is low carb. Almonds are low carb. Cashew is low carb. I do use oat milk. I don't think there's anything wrong with oat milk. But if you're worried about carbs, you can try some of the low carb milks like the hemp. Rice is high carb. Almonds or flax, unsweetened, or cashew milks are all low carb. I'm not doing the rice anymore, but I do like oat milk, and sometimes I'll mix it with almond milk, so I'll get a 50-50 going. And then I blend this. Sometimes I throw some ice in it. In terms of, 2 cups is usually recommended, and then you'll get over 16, you'll get about a 20-ounce shake, and that comes to about 450 kcals. And it's 24 servings of fruits and vegetables, easy to digest and low FODMAP. So again, if you have gas, bloating, upset stomach, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, this should be not a problem to digest. I get that question periodically from my SIBO patients. In terms of how we start to heal from a naturopathic perspective, we usually start with the digestive tract, and we start with healing the gut. Now, many people say start with the liver. The leading cause of liver congestion is too many simple carbohydrates. So again, the leading cause of liver disease is too much simple carbohydrates. So if you have NASH, which is non-alcohol steatorrhea, if you have fatty liver disease, also known as NASH, this is because carbohydrates convert to triglycerides, and that is lipogenesis. And what happens is your liver does a number of things, but one of the things that your liver does is it stores nutrients and it stores energy. So might be a little too, here's from the Anatomy and Physiology. Oh, I'll show it anyway. Some of you are medically trained. So what happens is you start with 1 glucose, right? So the sugars are broken down and converted into glucose. And that's a monoglyceride. You can see it here on the right. And then it and so your body will store in the liver all these sugars, right? And when the sugars are joined together, that's a glycogen, right? So the glucose molecule right here is attached to this group of carbon-hydrogen line here. But this right here on the right is the, let me see if I can do it better over here. I got a lot of things open right now. Let me close some of them. This thing on the right here, that's horizontal, is the glucose. And so what happens is that you're storing glucose in the liver as a glycogen, what we call a glycogen. They're all joined together. And to the left, what you're seeing is a triglyceride. And that's, imagine that what is happening. Here's how to imagine what's going on in your liver. Your liver is a closet, and it is packing glucose to be used by the body. So it's packing your shirt, that monoglyceride, it's packing the shirt. And when there's no more room in the closet, you get yourself one of those 3 hangers where 3 things, they got 3 of them together, and that's what you see on the left. And that's where you're hanging 3 shirts on one hanger, and that's a triglyceride. So the glucose converts to glycogen, and then when you are continuing to eat those Big Macs, you wind up with an elevated triglyceride. So then if you continue to eat the carbs and you are continuing to get an elevated triglyceride, then what happens is from triglyceride, they're converted to fats. And this would be how it travels in your bloodstream to the tissue, where it can be broken down into carbohydrates and fuel. Now, unfortunately, that means an elevation of triglycerides in your blood, which can lead to coronary artery disease and fatty streaks. Lipolysis is the act of breaking down the fats, and that is this right here. So when we engage in ketogenesis, for example, this is when we get you off the carbs. We see the opposite begins to happen. The triglycerides are broken down. It goes from triglycerides to glycogen to glucose, and then it's burned. And then the person is producing ketones, which are the byproduct. So lipogenesis is the act, here it is, of converting the monoglycerides into triglycerides. And this, of course, can be very hard also on your gallbladder. So it can lead to sluggish bile salts. We can see that over here. And so what we find is that people don't usually stay on a keto diet, nor would we recommend you stay on a keto diet, because healthy carbohydrates are good for you. So instead, what we recommend is that the person be on a whole food plant-based diet with lean animal products if you do eat meat. So if you're eating meat, you would want to do skinless chicken, so you can remove the fat and then make sure to trim it off. Do I have something on my teeth? It keeps looking that way. Turkey is great. I like turkey more than chicken when I do have meat. You can make those little patties, and I like to put a little oregano and garlic in them. And then I make like a 2-ounce patty with minimal oil, or they can just be baked. And then you can keep them in a tub. And then anytime you need protein, you can go ahead and have those. In Chinese medicine, chicken is considered hyperactive, and nervous people with a nervous disposition, or in Ayurvedic, what we call a vata person who's nervous, tends to do better with turkey energetically than with chicken. And I found that to be the case. Also, the amino acid profile is really nice as well for the turkey. When we look at vegans who live to old age, like 90, 95 years old, we're seeing a high propensity of Alzheimer's. Now, part of that could be because they're 95 years old, but we're also seeing shockingly low levels of omega-3s in vegans. And so for that reason, Joel Fuhrman would recommend eating hemp, walnut, chia, and flax on a daily basis if you are a vegan, and to find out what those foods are that are rich in omega-3s, and also to think about taking omega-3 oils from algae, etc., the DHA and the EPAs that are plant-based. Now, the conversion rate, being able to convert ALA to EPA and DHA, is pretty low, about 17 to 1. So for every ALA, alpha linoleic acid, you're going to only be able to convert 17 one molecule of EPA or DHA. And so for that reason, if you are concerned, you could have fish on a regular basis. And in fact, we find that people that have fish 1 to 3 meals per week lower their risk of heart disease. And so it goes back to what Edgar Cayce had said, that some animal product in your diet is good. So Edgar Cayce felt that 80% of your calories should come from the plant kingdom. Greens, beans, onions, berries, mushrooms, nuts, and seeds are considered the most nutrient-dense foods, and they're found in the protein and greens, along with the medicinal mushrooms, which is why I chose that shake. I don't take money from these companies. I simply looked at it as a scientist. I looked at it as a scientist, and I tried to figure out how can I get the most nutrition in my patients with the least amount of calories. And I did my residency in integration medicine and pharmaceuticals, making sure that I was not giving them anything that was going to be deleterious to their health or interact with the pharmaceuticals that they were on. And I found in my practice that the most nutrient dense products that I could find for my patients was this particular product. Again, I don't get paid by this company. It's simply data. And I found it had low FODMAP, so I was not getting side effects in my patients who had SIBO. And that was because the resistant starch had been removed. Common question that patients get when they have trouble digesting things. And you can see some of the nutrients of why I chose this and why I'm recommending it. First off, its antioxidant level is extremely high. Its ORAC level, oxygen radical, free radical absorption capacity. Its capacity to absorb free radicals was about 40,000. So it had an extremely high amount of ability to absorb free radicals. Free radicals are associated with aging, damage of the mitochondria, which are organelles in the cells, which help produce ATP. And when we see aging and damage to the cells, we also see an increased risk, not only for acceleration of aging, but certain types of cancer. So making sure we have antioxidant-rich foods is one of the things I looked for. Organic grasses and the greens give you the beta carotenes, et cetera, which also reduce risk of cancer. The stress harmonizing adaptogens was another thing that I looked at. Now, this is based on Chinese medicine, and in Chinese medicine, where did my beautiful picture go? In Chinese medicine, we look at the stress harmonizing adaptogens that are associated with healing the adrenals. The adrenals are the glands that sit atop the kidney, adrenal, and they help with energy levels, stress levels, and our ability to handle stress. And those have been researched. Scientists have researched those, and they are categorized as adaptogens. So when we think about adaptogens that have been researched, we think about Siberian ginseng. We think about red ginseng if a person is cold or has low energy. That's more of a yang herb, yang tonifying. Rhodiola, ashwagandha, schisandra are the herbs that have been researched. Gandoderma, when we're talking about immune boosting mushrooms, this is also based on science. These were mushrooms that were found to decrease risk for contracting certain types of viruses, but also decreasing risk of certain types of cancers. An example would be shiitake mushroom, where they found decreased risk of carcinomas and sarcomas in people that had shiitake in their diet. So the immune boosting mushrooms are some of those mushrooms, like the agaricus, which was studied for decreased risk for viruses, and the maitake turkey tail research on breast cancer prevention, and of course the Gandoderma or the reishi, which is known as herb of the immortals. Okay, so that is the story and the glory of why I recommend that. And then, of course, I recommend if you can get to 80-20 on your diet, you're doing great. Um, just remember when you eat animal products, the new domesticated animals don't have the same fat profile as a wild animal, and they're often fed feed that fattens them up, increasing their percentage of fat, which also puts you at higher risk of coronary artery disease, unlike what Abraham in the Bible, he was eating animals that were grass raised, grass finished, right? The pea protein is safe. It's not the pea, it's not the whole pea with the skin. It's the skin removed, and also the resistant starch has been removed. So I do not find that I have a problem with it. And I also have a sensitive gut. And so that was why I felt it was safe for people with small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Okay, so that is my words of wisdom as a naturopathic doctor. We're going to go ahead and do the empath prayer. We'll go ahead and give you a collective reading. Last thing I was going to mention in terms of the liver detox herbs before we do that. Here is an example of a liver detox formula. Isn't it pretty? I don't know if you can see it here. All the different herbs that go into a liver detox formula. And this is going to have chrysanthemum, milk thistle, dandelion, licorice. Always put rose. That's my signature. I always put a single rosebud, sometimes a little more if I really love you. A rose is also found to be good for the liver. Goji berries, holy basil, gynostemma, artichoke, and burdock. So that is this remedy. This would be an example of a liver cleanse remedy. And so in addition to just wanting to reduce the amount of simple carbs in your diet, going with lean proteins and the carbs which have the lower glycemic index, we would give liver tonifying herbs. Now, if you're talking about the anti-inflammatory diet, which I place many of my patients on the anti-inflammatory diet, the anti-inflammatory diet points out the glycemic index in certain foods. So if you are eating vegetables and you're concerned about the amount of sugar in the vegetables, the highest amount of sugar is going to be a slice of bread, which has a glycemic index of 100, not any different than table sugar. But you can see in an anti-inflammatory diet, you're encouraged to do the steamed vegetables. They can be slow cooked if you have SIBO symptoms to help break down the starches. But you'll see only 3% carbohydrates is going to be roasted. Is fantastic, by the way. You can put a little balsamic vinegar on it, a little bit of olive oil, and or some of the vegetable oils that take a higher heat. I think avocado takes a higher heat. But 3% only of sugars in asparagus and bean sprouts, beet greens. The greens are only going to contain about a 3% sugar. So because you have a high fiber content, it's going to slow down gastric emptying, so you're not going to be having liver congestion. Even a yam is only going to get you 20%, which is much lower than a slice of bread. And then when you're talking about grains, if you're talking about low glycemic index grains, amaranth, barley is a little bit high. It gives you a glycemic index of 55, still much lower than bread. Quinoa is the lowest. So if I'm doing brown rice, organic brown rice, which is going to have less of the arsenic in it, so I'm going to do in my cup, I'll do half a cup of organic brown rice to half a cup of quinoa. and that will increase my protein, decrease the glycemic index. And then I'm going to be focusing on those vegetables that are lower in the glycemic area. Going to be up here, this is where you're going to be wanting to focus. In terms of legumes, they say to soak 48 to 72 hours. Now, some people have soaked them and added yogurt. That's how Syrians prepare their hummus. To the water, they will add some yogurt, and then the enzymes in the yogurt and the bacteria in the yogurt will begin to eat away at the carbohydrates, reducing the load. So you can see those mentioned here. In terms of the ones that are easiest to digest, red lentils, black beans, and mung beans are the easiest to digest. Fish is vital. We talked about that. And that's because it decreases risk for heart disease if you are having fish 2-3 times a week. Chicken and turkey, of course, is lean. And we always want it to be skinless and free-range organic when possible, but we understand that not everybody can afford that. So just wash it really good, remove the skin and the fat. Baking, if you boil it, that's also excellent, because boiling it, the fat will go in the water, and then you can throw the water out, and then you can have some nice boiled chicken. Also pretty easy on the digestion. You can see here also fruits, that cantaloupe, etc., and the berries have a very low glycemic index. We want you to have carbs, but we want you to be mindful of that, of the index. Of course, we talked about seeds and the importance of doing seeds that are high in omegas. A little bit of grass-fed butter never hurt anybody. Actually, some interesting studies on digestive health and butter with the butyric acid. So occasionally having a little butter, but like everything in life, you want to be moderate because it does contain fat. And here we have the no-nos, the things that are associated with inflammation. We have changed this chart up. Tomatoes, they are a nightshade and can be inflammatory in people with arthritis. Not everyone reacts. See how you do with it, because it does contain lycopene and other nutrients. Same with citrus fruits. It can be inflammatory in some people, but not everybody. Just see how you do with it. And everything else, I think we've kept pretty much the same. Somebody had asked about organic eggs. I recommend boiling them. That way you don't have any added butter or anything like that. Okay, I did put it in the description of today's video that we would be giving nutritional advice, because that's my jam. Just like Meghan Markle says, jam is my jam. Naturopathic medicine is my jam. I'm very passionate about it. I believe in what I do, and I believe in sharing what my knowledge to the best of my ability to help people, particularly those people who don't have a lot of money and they need some basic advice. And you can Google the anti-inflammatory diet. My mentor, Dick Tom, he is the one that kindly put that up, Dr. Dick Tom. There's a couple other things I wanted to say about that Dr. Tom had mentioned. Want to keep yourself hydrated. That we want to stay in the zone. And I think if you stay in the zone, you don't have, if you're temporarily if you're on a keto diet temporarily while you deal with the liver congestion is fine. If you're cutting out the bread and you're trying to get your carbs down below 150 a day, say you're down to only 80, that should only be temporary, because we find it's not sustainable. And so instead, just stay in the zone. Healthy eating with about 40% of your plate being your carbohydrates, 30% being your protein, and 30% being the healthy fats, the omega-3s, the nuts and seeds. That 30% protein, remember that 10% is going to be coming from the plant kingdom if you're 80-20, and 20% will be coming from the animal kingdom. If you're vegan, then we recommend finding other protein sources, mung beans, black beans, red lentils, if you find it difficult to digest. I like tempeh because it's been partially broken down and digested by the bacteria, by the lactobacilli, so that the carbohydrate is low and the resistant starch is low, making it easier to digest. And you want to make sure you're chewing your food properly to mix it with the saliva. Digestive enzymes can also help. Yeah, Joyce had said she tried keto and she felt awful. That's because you went too low on your carbs, and then you'll yo-yo back and gorge on carbs. And so we recommend instead just doing Eat to Live by Joel Furman. But if you can't be 100% vegan, then as I had said, if you can get to 80-20, you'll probably live a very long, healthy, happy life on a whole foods, plant-based diet that is mostly, Mediterranean. Okay, would you guys like to have a reading? You love my jam? Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, if you or someone you know needs to receive a healing at this time, go ahead and give us your name or the name of that person that needs a healing, and we will include them in our prayers today. Thank you. Let's go ahead and we will do the Empath's prayer. Thank you so much for being here. Much love and gratitude. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. And for those people today who have requested the healing, we pray. We pray for you and those we love and those you love. We pray that you receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. May all souls be healed. May all souls be healed. Special prayers to Linda G. as well as we send her our love and prayers that she receive a perfect healing at this time. And everyone else who has come in today to receive a healing. Amen, amen, amen. May all souls be healed. All right, let's do a collective reading. This is a collective reading, and it applies to you at the time you watch this. If it doesn't apply to you, it's based on a collective consciousness, you can go ahead and just pass it down and say, I don't believe that these string beans are for me. I believe that these string beans are for you. Just pass it down. It is a smorgasbord. I think I'll be enjoying the cornbread instead. Yes. Whatever brings you joy, right? What is the reading? What do we need to know to get through this week? This reading applies to you at the time you see it. Thank you, my loves. Nobody's commenting on all these new tops I bought. Bought a bunch of new tops and no one's saying anything. Okay. Well, I like them. You know, it's interesting that we're talking so much about good nutrition and eating right and taking care of ourselves, because you know, I really feel when I go into this energy that part of why America has gone crazy is because our food supply is so damaged. You can't have normal brain function when your brain is not being fed properly. I think it's really important for us to hear that and for us to understand that your brain will not function properly if you don't have proper nutrition. And what we're seeing with people like Donald Trump, and I have compassion if you voted for him, um, there's a huge difference between his diet and Cory Booker's diet. Okay? Cory Booker is a whole food plant-based vegan. Adam Schiff is a whole foods plant-based vegan. It's not just that they're on politically a different aisle than MAGA. I think Bernie Sanders is a pescatarian. It's not just that they're politically different. Okay? It's not just that we're talking about different political sides. We're talking about having different brain function and different, a more alkaline diet and better physical health because more oxygen is getting to the brain. This is just a fact. More oxygen is getting into Cory Booker's brain than Donald Trump's brain. More oxygen is getting into Hillary Clinton's brain than Donald Trump's brain. More oxygen is getting into Adam Schiff's brain than Mitch McConnell's brain. So just on that prospect alone, do you want somebody making laws that has an oxygen deficit to their brain, or do you want somebody with Cory Booker's brain? Somebody who walks and breathes and moves and eats nutrient-dense foods. The reason why I'm such a fanatic about this is because your physical health and proper nutrition to your body is going to have an impact on your brain. And the sad thing is that MAGA supporters are living on junk. They're not getting proper nutrition to the brain, and their brain function is being affected. And then when you add to that pharmaceutical drugs and self-medication from street drugs, you simply cannot function rationally. And unfortunately, this is what we see with Donald Trump. We see somebody who cannot function. He is not getting enough oxygen to his brain. It is very clear to anyone who's a physician. We've talked about this for months. I have a physician's assistant as an assistant, right? We came out, I think we were the first to break the ice, was here on this channel saying this guy has congestive heart failure and here's how we know. Now, I think that we helped the doctors come out of hiding. They were afraid to say it. We also were the first to publish and say he had a drug problem, that he was a drug addict, because people were afraid to see it, even though all the evidence was there that Donald Trump was a drug addict, that he was doing downers to get to sleep and uppers to wake up, and that he was slurring his word in the morning because he was on benzos. Most likely he has chronic pain because he's obese, and that's also why he's taking muscle relaxants. If you are worried about what is happening to this planet, we must talk about the basics, which is our food supply. This is why Bill Maher gets fanatical about it, though I'd like to see him get off the pot, because I think marijuana is also affecting him. You know, his addiction, he's lying about his addiction to weed, right? He's created an alternate reality where he gets to smoke pot all day long, right? And that also isn't good for you. Before anything else, we must heal our lives. You want to save the world, save yourself. You want to make the world a better place, you must have a brain that's functioning properly. And that means what you start with the most simple things that are going to get you well. What are you doing to yourself? What are you putting in your body? Where you're at right now, you are looking for a higher purpose. The base of the matter is the Hierophant. So you have gone to a higher purpose. You are someone who is looking. What does it all mean? What is the great mystical? I love this card. It's also, by the way, if you're a tarot reader, this is the LGBTQ card for gay marriage. Men saying, I do, lover. I shall marry you and love you till the end of time. Yes. Those crazy people who make the mistake of getting married. No, to each his own. Maybe someday I'll get married again. But two men stand before the priest and they take a vow. Isn't that a pretty card? So it has two meetings. I love also the entwined keys, like they're entwining their lives together. It's actually a very romantic card. I love Coleman, the artist, who I believe was LGBTQ herself, but she was also a woman of color and she was horribly discriminated against. But I love that she puts these hints in the cards, but this has always been an LGBTQ card. But the other thing I like about it is that the Hierophant is androgynous. He's an androgynous symbol, he, she, they, who is, and so it's about looking to the higher purpose. The greatest threat to our health at this time, other than just what we put in our mouths, is our stress levels. You know, I switched to a 50-50 on my caffeine and I'm still getting the jitters. I don't know what that's about. Oh, Trump is not going to succeed in shutting down windmills because we won't be able to sell our products abroad because everybody's going with renewable fuels and moving away from fossil fuels. So if America wants to hold on to fossil fuels, we're going to go bankrupt because the rest of the world is moving on. But you can see your karma card is the 9 of Swords. So here is what you can control. Your kitchen, what you put in your mouth. The good news is lentils and brown rice and quinoa are not particularly expensive. You can also get them at the food bank. Beans. Learn how to cook them. Slow down and chew your food properly. Right? So, the biggest threat to your health right now is your stress. You cannot save the world until you save yourself. So let's just start with saving yourself. There's a lot of free information out there. Like I'm a huge fan of Caldwell Esselstyn and Joel Fuhrman. I'm not as strict as they are, but I think that if you can adopt 80% of their plan, you're going to see dramatic improvements in your health. Just do 80%. Where you're at right now is a new contract, real estate, new opportunities, new evidence to change, creating a new blueprint. You are creating a new blueprint, a new map for your life. This is my senior deck, so it's been beaten up a bit. Let me go ahead and move the so you can enjoy your reading more. I'll make it more available to you. There we go. Okay, so this is a card, your first house, which has to do with real estate. It could be that you're focusing on real estate, but a lot of the time it has to do with just evidence to commit to change, creating a new blueprint for your life. Your crossing card at this time is a fool takes a leap of faith. So it could be that you're experiencing a new incarnation. The universe hates to waste a good body. So now we get reincarnated 4 or 5 times because we're not dying at 25 like we used to. We're dying at 105. So you may find that you're entering it. You may be feeling these weird changes because you're processing a new reincarnation, but you're staying in the same body. That took me a long time to figure out, that we could be reincarnated over and over and over again, but not leave our current body. My grandmother, my father's father, died at the age of 27 from influenza. 4 children. 4 children at 27 and died of influenza. So people didn't live very long. So of course she would have reincarnated maybe. So people who die at 30, and they're going to be reincarnating several times. Whereas if you live to 105, you will reinvent yourself and reincarnate 3, 4, 5 times, but you will maintain the same body. When you have this kind of juxtaposition that the group has right now, this new commitment, I'm constructing a new blueprint, and I'm falling into, remember, the ancient idea of the fool is he enters into the incarnation. He takes on a skin of leather. It's Adam Rishon, the first Adam, or the soul of Adam, Adam Katama, the great Adam in Kabbalah. He decides to enter into his incarnation, and you have a new incarnation. Many of you who are watching. So it's a choice. You have chosen to start another life, still connected to the people and places that you were connected to in your previous lifetime, in your previous incarnation, but now you're being reincarnated. I feel that I'm being reincarnated at 62 into a new version of myself, a new Whimsy, one that has much better mental health because I'm practicing what I preach, and I am meditating, and I am doing the mantras, and I am eating the nutrient-dense food. And this has changed me and taken me to a higher level where I can receive those higher downloads, right? This is why many Zen Buddhists are vegetarian, to get those higher vibrations, to have your brain cleaned up, right? What is above us at this time is deep meditation. The 4 of Swords is samadhi. It's this idea that we are going into states of deep meditation and introspection. Very interesting. What you're sitting in and marinating in at this time is a romantic notion. This idea of a romantic quest. Sometimes the quest is to go on a journey. The person goes to Medjugorje, or they go to Machu Picchu, or they go to Portugal, and they walk the El Camino to Spain in order to have this spiritual awakening. But one aspect of the romantic night is that he seeks the Holy Grail. So part of this incarnation that you're experiencing is a desire to go on a journey to seek the Holy Grail. And much of that journey is happening internally. What you're coming out of in the past is fears of the destruction that has already happened, the crashing of the market, the crashing of the environment, the crashing of the planet, the crashing of our political system, a feeling that everything outside of us is falling apart. And so the only place for us to go is inward and to begin to meticulously examine our own 4 walls. And what you're entering into. Do not overwhelm yourself with financial debt and burdens. Try and keep yourself as simple as possible, your bills as simple as possible. If you still feel overwhelmed, then seek assistance and aid, friendships. Try and find out how you can untie yourself from the situation you're in. If you have too many things, if your home is a mess, like the laundry that I have to fold that's sitting over there, right? Do your best. But now is the time to kind of unravel and simplify our lives. where you're at right now, concerned about your health. We have the health card. It's so interesting that we were talking about health and healing today, and I decided to do like a mini lecture on optimal health today because uh, health and strength came as your seventh house or your immediate environmental concern. So, but it's also important to note that you are strong and for us to examine what strength means to us. You know, what does it mean to be strong? Is strength going around and beating people up? I was in a heck of a mood last night. Or is strength about being able to calm the violence by being a calming presence, you know, by living a healthy life, by living a balanced life, by healing ourselves? We do influence other people because people want to know what we're doing. How did you lose 50 pounds? Oh, God, you look good. You're like aging in reverse. How'd you do that? Well, I started realizing that I can't save the world until I take care of myself. And I stopped being obsessed with what other people were doing. And I started focusing on myself and my chanting and my meditation practice. And that has power because it reverberates to the rest of the world. And that is the enlightenment we seek. That is how we change the world. So focusing on our strength and focusing our own health is the priority. Your opposition at this time is ending. I'm telling you, people are going through a new incarnation. The old ways are gone. They weren't sustainable anyway. Imagine living in a small town where there's no Whole Foods and the only thing that's there are rows and rows of junk food places. So there isn't any place to get fresh fruits and vegetables. You have to, that are available in your neighborhood. There's just liquor stores and fast food garbage. We see this in red lines, where in predominantly places of people of color are not given whole food options. They just, oh, another liquor store, more garbage to put into your body. And it's a political statement. To eat right and take care of ourselves is a political statement. But you have in your opposition the old ways are gone because the Knight of Pentacles goes nowhere. We don't need to be pouring more money into a healthcare system that doesn't work, right? That's just not how it's working. A lot of the people that are going to the Trump rallies are chronically ill, not just mentally ill. They're suffering from chronic diabetes and everything else, but it's not working. The Knight of Pentacles, your old ways are gone. We're starting new ways of doing things. Hope and fear at this time is the Queen of Cups, that you will dream your life away. You shouldn't be afraid of your dreams, but how can we turn our dreams into reality? How can we create a plan for ourselves where you have a 1 month plan, a 3 month plan, a 6 month plan? I'm telling you, start with your physical health. Because once you do that, you will have energy. I was up till 5 a.m. I couldn't fall asleep. So I have over 450 herbs, and I was reloading them in the display. I have a display I show people. And so that's what I did with my extra energy. But the Queen of Cups, she dreams. She dreams her life away. Dreams are good, but you want to be able to implement them. And the final outcome for you is death. I knew I was right. Reincarnation, transformation, and that you are undergoing reincarnation at this time. How does it feel? How does your body feel as you prepare to enter into this new way of living? Whole paycheck. Yes. Remember, greens, beans, onions, berries, mushrooms, nuts, and seeds don't have to be expensive. Just avoid the dirty dozen, those things that are heavily sprayed. Or you can do 50-50. Some things can be conventional. They don't have to be organic. You don't need to have organic bananas because they have a skin on them. Yeah, but we have transformation and death. You can go with, I would look at the environmental working group, and they will let you know what you can and can't have in your diet. So if you are concerned that you can't afford organics, then just go conventional, but be aware of those things that are heavily sprayed. Baby lettuce is not sprayed, it's in-house. So strawberries are sprayed, kale, collard, mustard greens. I just get these babies. Grapes, peaches, cherries, nectarines, pears, apples, blackberries, and potatoes are the most genetically modified. So those are the things you need to be aware of. And then you have the clean 15. And the clean 15 are, those things that have skins on them. Onions, bananas. Do your best. What I do is, they took tomatoes off the list. That's nice. So you don't have to go organic with the tomatoes anymore. Yeah, so these are the foods that you'll want to go organic. The cheapest way to get organic berries is to just buy the frozen ones or to buy in season and then freeze them. You can also pick them if it's in season, like the blackberries. I just go out and pick a ton of them and then freeze them. Strawberries, or the other thing is that you can wash them. You can soak them in baking soda and vinegar, and that will get the pesticides off. If you're, say, I can't afford that. Apples are doused with chemicals after harvest. Yeah, so I don't think you need to worry about this either if you can't afford these. The best thing to do is just soak them in baking soda, put a little vinegar in there, you'll be all right. And just scrub them a little bit, let them soak. They say let them soak for 20 minutes, rinse, and that will dramatically reduce the amount of pesticides on your foods. Sometimes I'll buy conventional strawberries and I'll just soak them in baking soda and vinegar for 10, 20 minutes, rinse them off a few times, and that removes, I would say, over 90% of the pesticide. All right, there you go. There you have it. That is your reading for the week. Let's do a quick clarification. Yes. Ooh, some of you are getting jobs. Don't worry, the jobs report. Jobs are coming in. Major decisions. There's your money. Your wish will be granted. If your wish was to be healthy and change your life, then and if you're committed to that, then your wish is granted because you got the wish card granted. Whatever you desire, your wish will be granted. All right. All right, all right, all right. How are we doing, everyone? Ooh, Quakers. They were vegetarians, pacifist. Lovely. Love it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's do some blitzes. Thank you so much, Joel, for helping out today and helping with organizing our questions. Joel writes, Will Trump use a cartel war to distract attention? I heard that he was thinking of invading. How crazy is it going to get? He and his cabinet of lunatics with their McDonald's burgers um, before they drag him and his crazy friends out of there and we put JD Vance in. Yes, that's what they're going to do. There's going to be a division forming, if it hasn't already, where they're secretly chit-chatting with JD Vance and the crazies. It's going to become increasingly obvious that the crazies hovering around Trump, along with Trump, are all insane, and it's going to be a coup from within. And it means splitting his cabinet. That's my psychic prediction for that. Cartel war to distract attention. Let's take a look. Venezuela. He's facing legal problems, Trump. He's really pushing the courts beyond the limit. Economic challenges, hopes and fears, Four of Swords, and the final outcome, flee like a thief. I do think that most Americans are happy to see criminals off the streets. None of us want to see criminals on the street. None of us want to see cartel people. But now they're just doing crazy stuff. They're like attacking people at grocery store that own grocery stores. It's just really cuckoo barrels. They like a guy owned like a Latino grocery store, and I guess he had his residency, and they were trying to break. And we're coming for you and your family. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? You're going after the people registered rather than the homicidal killer. Just so you have this flees like a thief. No, I don't think this is going to happen. I really think his health is going to start deteriorating over the next 2.5 months. He won't give up the junk. Well, Newsom and other blue states' redistricting efforts result in more seats for the Democrats. Well, this is the concern of why I put it up, is that the redistricting that the Republicans are working on, it's going to become nearly impossible for Democrats to win anything if they get their wish, because that's the plan. The plan is to overtake the Democrats through this kind of redistricting. Let's take a look. They do that, and you're going to see revolution. All right, a new contract. Gavin Newsom, hopes and fears, Four of Cups, and then the final outcome is back and forth. Some people like Gavin Newsom, but it's going to be hard to attract him in all 50 states because he's a Californian. And so while many Democrats like him, I don't know if it would sell well to the people of Georgia. I think a Democratic senator from Georgia would be a better pick for president. But I think it's going to be a real hard time getting this redistricting going because there will be consequences. The Democrats could do the same thing in Oregon. We could do the same thing in Washington. We could do the same thing in New York. Three of Cups is a celebration, dancing in the streets. No, they won't succeed. In fact, quite the opposite. It looks like the Democrats are rising. We just have to get on message and be the party of the people, the party of the poor, which is pretty much everyone in America other than Trump and his friends. So dancing in the streets, a celebration. I do think that it's possible that Gavin Newsom could consider running for president. I just don't know if he will appeal to all 50 states. I think a Democrat out of Georgia would be a good choice. Will Putin be ousted soon? Well, that's the ultimate question, right? Is will he or won't he? Because I can tell you, he is not popular. He was, and he's becoming increasingly unpopular because of the amount of money the oligarchs have lost. Putin. angry and vengeful. We talked about the fact that he was angry and vengeful towards Trump. I made you who you are. You're going to give me what I want. I can make you and I can break you. So we see this retaliatory energy, bombing Poland, threatening, what's the latest country? It starts with an E. God, I swear I'm getting Alzheimer's. Estonia. Now he's threatening Estonia. The evidence lays against him because this is the high priestess. So some hidden information is going to be revealed about Putin, and it will not bode well for him. The hope and fear, he's stressed and frightened, and the final outcome is mastery. I think that they're actively looking at removing him. This retaliatory, like if I have to be the only one fighting, it will be me. I will go out with the club and I will hopes and fears, taking the weapons of war, and the final outcome is August. So we see an escalation of violence in Ukraine as he desperately attempts to retaliate against NATO and the meetings that happened in the White House. So it feels to me a lot like revenge against Trump, but I simply think he is going to be, look, we have no choice. We have no choice with Putin, and that's because he is, it goes back to the data we collected on what the most likely outcome would be. And the most likely outcome is that he would be removed. If he's not removed, then, it's very likely that we march on Moscow, which is a shame. Nobody wanted it to get to that point. But if that's the point it's going to get to, that's the point it's going to get to. And that's because he has really lost his mind. So here is the data that was collected by the supercomputers and sent to IDF. And this is from a couple of years ago. That most likely the fastest way to end the war in Gaza would be to get to ceasefire as fast as possible. Hamas has rejected the ceasefire. Exchange the hostages and send Hamas and their followers to a host country, adopt the Oasis Protocol for the rebuild of Gaza, creating Oasis zones. Hamas's orphans would be adopted and live in the Oasis and become future allies in a new alliance between Israel and Gaza. Putin would be arrested and tried in The Hague sooner rather than later, or he'd be placed under house arrest. Iran would be dismantled, its current leadership. And there will be no deal between Iran and Russia for normal relationships in exchange for profits from the Abraham Accords. So that's likely. And now we're seeing the dismantling. Syria fell, and now we're seeing Iran. Hezbollah has fallen in Lebanon, and now we see all of the proxy armies. The Houthis are falling in Yemen, and of course Iran is falling. And we are seeing increasingly efforts to isolate Putin, and that most likely he will eventually wind up in house arrest if he's not outright assassinated. So Hungary and Orban, that's an interesting thing because Orban's become part of that old fascist alliance. Orban's future in Hungary. Look at that. Just like Putin, angry, determined, lashing out. His opposition is Four of Cups. The people are done with him, I would say, with this type of juxtaposition. People are just not. Fascism, Nazism in Hungary, anti-Semitism is a big problem in Hungary. I have part of my ancestors are Jewish Hungarian on my maternal side. Hopes and fears, war, and then the final outcome, a new beginning comes for Hungary. He probably will not get reelected because the Page of Wands is Archangel Uriel, and Uriel speaks of a new beginning. But he is really angry. Knight of Swords, like he's going to lash out at his rivals, and that is crazy. Will Ukraine recover their territory? Will Ukraine recover their territory? Two of Cups, ceasefire. Two of Cups would be some kind of, look, the only way they can get to this is by getting to Putin, but you can see a Two of Cups moving in. Their opposition is Putin. Look at that. The eighth house, the opposition, the other, often the person you have conflict with is the eighth house. So they're going to get to peace, and Putin is not happy about it. Hopes and fears, confusion about the future. Where do we go from here? And then the final outcome is strength. They have no choice. They have to they're going to be part of NATO. Just like we had predicted that Finland and Sweden, that their Air Force would come in and that they would be part of NATO. That's exactly what we're going to be seeing. The only thing that happened as a result of Putin's actions is that NATO got stronger. Clarification over the peace treaty. Queen of Swords, justice. Putin, he will have to give it back. Six of Pentacles, hopes and fears, the fighting, and the final outcome, peace treaty, Knight of Cups. They will have to, it's humbling. It's like, how much did he borrow? How much did he steal? Okay, we will pay it. Okay, how much, what was stolen from the churches? Okay, return it. How many kids were kidnapped and raped and molested and stolen and sent off to God knows where? Okay, we will return them. Six of Pentacles is that the other must pay restitution. Did Putin threaten Trump and the GOP during the Alaska summit? Let's take a look. Did Putin threaten Trump? You owe me. Remember the vows you took to the church. The holy white Aryan church, right? Isn't that really what this is about? You were once a believer. Well, I ain't a believer now. But what about the church? It has that, look at that tower. They're not doing well together. So I would say that I see retaliation by Putin against Trump because of this need for revenge that is coming in. This feeling that I am going to get you for what you've done to me. You say no to me? It's almost like Prigozhin, pay me? I'm going to march on Moscow. So now you have that kind of coming full circle with Putin. Pay me? You don't help me? Tower, the opposition. Nine of Wands would be Trump is his opposition, and he feels cornered. Do you even think he cares at this point? He's probably, he's facing his own death and talking about it endlessly now, right? I'm not gonna live and go. I'm not going to heaven. I'm not doing so good. I guess the doctors told him I'm not doing so good. They tell me I'm not doing so good. Lovers, can we reach an impasse? And the final outcome is fighting. No, they will not reach an impasse. He is at all-out war with Trump now because of what happened. The business, he has evidence. I have evidence. I've collected. I've got people in the FBI. Remember, that's the FBI's card. They work for me. I'm in your FBI. I'm in your files. I know what you're planning. I know what you're doing. I got it all. The opposition. The karmic wheel falls on Trump. It's his time. His time has come. He's run out of time. Regarding the lovers, a heavy load lay ahead for the people that get the treaty, that work this out, that clean up the mess of Putin. It's going to be bloody. And then the final outcome is a new leader comes. Really interesting, huh? Really interesting. Will Medicaid be fully restored in the future? Joel does this for me. People want to know because he's the floor director and he collects your questions and he puts them in large print for me to see because I am blind as a bat. So in case you're wondering why it's what Joel Tilson is doing, he's doing his job. Thank you, Joel. Okay, will Medicaid be restored in the future? Chariot, we are marching toward Victoria, Victoria. I would say Victoria rather than Pretoria. Opposition, Ace of Cups. I think women are going to be in positions of power. I see a lot of women in power when I go into this energy. I see people like Elizabeth Warren just really working to try and correct this. Remember, the first thing we can do in terms of our health is take responsibility. Do the best you can to take care of your own health because America, healthcare is no longer affordable in the United States, so you must rely on yourself. Yes, we will restore our health. Remember, it starts with the junk food and the garbage and eating too much. Garbage and eating too much of it. That is the underlying issue. Well, Congress enacts supplemental income for the poor in the future. God, I hope so. Not everybody can work, not everybody can work. Poverty. How do we treat the most vulnerable? You'll be judged by how you treat the least amongst you. How are the supposed Christians that are with Trump, are they really Christians? How are they treating the least amongst them? How are they treating the vulnerable and the poor? The world is the opposition. Hopes and fears to defend ourselves against the world. And the final outcome is a new contract, Ace of Cups. I'm telling you, we're undergoing a spiritual reincarnation. And it's starting with, I got to unplug from all the crazy and just take care of myself, starting with my own diet. Out goes the junk, in goes the good. I'm going to stabilize my blood sugar. I'm going to clean up my liver congestion. I gotta clean myself up. I gotta get myself right. I gotta get right with my body and I gotta get right with my mind and I gotta get right with the goddess, So Ace of Cups is the birth of something new, leaving behind poverty. Yeah. All right. I am wiped out. We've been here for over an hour and a half. I want to thank everybody for joining me. I'm going to go off and make my green smoothie and I'm going to enjoy it a lot. Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm gonna have me a nice smoothie. I've got an overly ripe plum that's going to go in there. Yes. And I'm going to do my protein and greens and whip it all up. It's going to be good to go. All right, everyone. Thank you all for being with me. If you're trying to get in for a reading or you need to see me as a physician, you can book me through Booksy, and all that information is below this video. And remember, be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. But if you're mean to me, you're going to see my Aries side. All right. God bless. Thank you so much. Peace out. We'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Much appreciation. Much appreciation. Thank you.